Hey, good day, everyone. My name is Patrick Linehan, and I'm joined here today by Vic Penn, our COO of Gant Travel. Vic, I guess I just jumped over the fact that I'm CEO of Gant Travel in case anybody wonders what role I'm serving in right now. And Vic, we thought it would be incredibly valuable to the marketplace to share how to separate reality from hype on AI. So let's kick this off. Talk about, first of all, what angle we're coming from. All right, and Vic, I'll give a summary, and then you add some color commentary if I leave anything out. Here's where we're coming from. We are in the same shoes you are. So if you're a buyer, you have a corporation, you have a team, you're trying to serve your company or your organization's customers better, and you're trying to be more efficient about it. So that's our story, and it dates back to 2021, where we didn't get it right. And we learned exactly what gaps in AI look like versus the promise that you hear in hype. So we want to shortcut you some time, some money, some sleepless nights by sharing what we found. So first of all, how can you trust us? Well, let's tell you the story of the School of Hard Knocks first, and then you can decide. So we started in 2021 when AI was just gaining momentum. We looked at the internal operations of Gant Travel and we said, where can we start that's low-hanging fruit? And first of all, we thought we should develop a structure. And so we divided everything into 2 stages. And by stages, I don't mean time stages. I mean like Shakespearean stages, like this is internal facing, this is external facing. So we started on the internal stage, which I recommend you do as well. And we went after rolling out AI for call and email scoring on the internal side. And what that did was that it made us really optimistic because we were able to measure customer sentiment analysis, net promoter scores on 85% of our phone calls. It drove immediate change inside the organization. It actually, just imagine the model of an agent at Gant having a supervisor, and everyone should be getting performance counseling. And we were scoring phone calls manually. And then we adopted an AI process, and it changed how we interacted with our team because no longer was there a supervisor to employee relationship. It then changed into a coach to player relationship because the agent was trying to beat the AI scoring by changing their behavior. So we suddenly saw that there were patterns inside the company that we didn't recognize before. I mean, it was absolutely eye-opening. And it plugged into our existing systems. And that gave us a tremendous amount of confidence. And then we went after a harder project. So remember, I'm sharing all this with you so you know where our credibility is coming from. So we went after email with AI. And we did this because at the time, it was a lot. The AI was largely aimed at text-based data or numbers, but in our case, we didn't have a problem with spreadsheets. We had a problem with making sure that we provided accurate and effective travel coordination. So it was text-based, and it seemed like a perfect use for AI. So we bought an off-the-shelf product, and that AI was actually pretty good. The email that it produced was more accurate than what we were producing with humans, but we learned one very important lesson. The way that AI integrated into our workflows was completely wrong. It caused a lot of friction. Agents had to leave their system. The work was in a separate environment. They were copying things back and forth. There's friction everywhere. So handle times went up instead of down. The team got frustrated, and it was one of those moments where I'm sure they thought I was insane. Why are they making us use this? The tool was accurate. Everyone recognized that, but it didn't fit. And so the metaphor that I want you to think of as you are identifying hype from reality is you're looking for the case where someone has dropped a Formula One engine and bolted it into a pickup truck. The engine's great, but the truck's not going to take you anywhere. And that is why we killed that project well, I shouldn't say we killed it, Vic. We actually kept trying to do it. It just took us a long time.
Right.
And we learned two things: that AI need to be measured by accuracy and integration. So I'm getting ready to hand off to Vic here in a second, but here's how we solved that problem. We didn't quit. We went back to the marketplace and we did another buyer build analysis, and we decided to buy. And we found a small AI company called Amendo, and Vic was the CEO of that company. They're genuinely talented people. They had the right technology. They were hungry to show it worked. And basically, Vic, you said, do a pilot with us. Show everyone that this works. And the pilot was not short, because we achieved real automation for customer-facing problems, but they were in a limited scope. And there were plenty of moments where we thought, yeah, we're finally going somewhere with this. And then all of a sudden we'd run into another wall. We couldn't get past really the minimal viable product to justify the hours that we were putting into the project. And so the insights that most people outside travel or outside of a TMC don't understand is that a TMC has a unique ticketing process. Every single one of the TMCs are different. And the technical debt in the systems connecting content in travel to a customer's request coordination, that's the moat of corporate travel. And it's disjointed and it's complex. And that's why a brilliant startup just can't waltz into the corporate travel industry very easily and disrupt the whole industry. It's because the plumbing is too complex. And that plumbing is what kept stopping us from getting really efficient AI in place. So in 2024, we made a really bold call. We bought Amendo, and Amendo had less than 10 people, counting Vic. And just, it may be reminiscent of what you saw Amadeus do recently when they bought Skylink. I think they had less than 50 people. And in the world of AI, small can be incredibly mighty if the technology is right. And that's what we believed with Amendo, and that's what we've proved. We didn't need any longer with Amendo. We didn't need to have them build a platform that every single ticketing process could connect to. Instead, we could ask them to put their blinders on, do our one ticketing process, our one email flow. And within 6 months, we had a really high caliber product. And so the payoff that we saw was net promoter scores went up dramatically. Same thing with CSAT scores. Email handle time, which, remember, it's a call center. We can measure everything down to the second. They dropped 66%. And when you're talking about dropping more than 30 minutes off of a case of work, that's what we call getting an email and handling the coordination. The ROI just becomes obvious, let's put it that way. And it's not a marketing slide when the operations reality you live in every day starts to change dramatically. So in summary, just remember, it was 2021 to June 2025, over 4 years, where we had an out of the gate success and then a series of learning events where we failed and pivoted until we made the acquisition. And if that's not the definition of the School of Hard Knocks, I don't know what is. So today, Vic and I are sitting in a company with over 70 AI agents in production, helping our employees in all of our departments. Our AI agents right now are connected to knowledge bases, our GDS, our customer profiles, our client travel policies, as well as our preferred suppliers of those clients. And we also have one major AI company integrated in with our omnichannel communication platform and multiple LLMs in the background helping us get this work done. We have 7 people fully dedicated to the AI systems, and we've initiated a training program across our company to teach people in every department how to build AI agents to drive quality and productivity in their daily work. And then we roll out their products that they use to streamline their own workflow across the rest of the teams. So I mentioned that we had success in automating email. Next month, we roll out a tool for chat into our omnichannel communication platform. And all of this is the basis for answering why you can trust us when we tell you we can give you tremendous insight into separating marketing hype from reality. So Vic, that's quite an introduction to what we did. Let me hand it off to you with some, so we can cover some brass tacks here about what we did.
Perfect. Hey, thanks a lot, Patrick. Patrick, do you realize that when we say that we did a proof of concept together, that was September of 2020. We've been playing in this world for 6 years.
Yeah.
So
I'm not sure
it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. But you know what? And by no means are we sitting here saying that we know everything and all to this, but what we do know is things that where we tripped, picked up, pivoted, like you said. So if I were a buyer buying travel services from a TMC specifically related to AI, there's 5 pillars that I would kind of encompass questions around. First and foremost, the pillar of transparency. You should be able to ask your TMC, lay out the customer journey to me and inject where you have AI working right now in production in that journey. If they cannot do that, then chances are is that their AI is not as integrated or built as you would think. So transparency is 1. 2, service and escalation. There's one thing I've learned over the years, AI broke every year and AI is still breaking. So the key question here is what happens when the AI breaks? And a question that as a buyer, I would say, can you tell me about a time over the last 6 months where your AI failed and what was the next step? How did you handle it? So that you can learn to see if they've learned from that and built it up. That's really getting to the details of that. Technology flexibility. One of the biggest learnings that we got was that not the difficulty of building AI. Actually, AI is doing most of the programming of a lot of AI products today, but it's integration into your workflow process. It's that integration that killed us for the first 2 or 3 years, Patrick. If you remember, we had it working, and then we said, okay, let's give it to the ops people, and it exploded like the 4th of July because we did not appreciate or respect that workflow integration. So the question that you need to ask is, hey, if I change my OBT next year, what breaks? Can you tell me the impact if I change out pieces of my technology? The 4th pillar, data and governance. The number 1 key thing here to ask your TMC is, my data. Is my data going to be used for training your models? If it is, that's a red flag. If you get anything other than your data will not be used for any of our training models, anything else, you want to question that, you want to dig deeper. They might be trying to get around that. The proof and not promises. If I were a buyer, I would look and I'd say, give me 2 or 3 recommended clients that you're currently working with that are using your AI that I can talk to about actual implementation, integration, and return on investment. That's what I want to know. So drill yourself down into really specific, forcing the TMC to give you examples of what they've done with AI. And the last one, strategic match. So many times you have all this beautiful technology and you end up with good insights and they're not actionable. So does their AI, the TMC's AI, allow you to take their data, wrap AI around it for really actionable insights, and has it led to actions that you've implemented or changed the service levels, increase the service levels, reduce the costs, that is truly measurable from an ROI perspective? If it's not, you probably want to shy away from it. But I would ask for actionable examples um, of data that they've taken into actual insights and implemented it.
All right, Vic, so we're going to continue just a couple other points of learning that we achieved, and then we're going to hit some really specific questions. So you touched on some good ones there. Let's jump over to a next question, or back to the slides for a moment. Oh. It's a well-oiled machine of presentations, Vic. I think you can see the key takeaway slide.
Yes. So key takeaways here. Don't ask, do you use AI? Where is it being used? That's the transparency side. How does it impact the customer experience? And prove to me that when it breaks, that you've preserved that customer experience. Who owns it? Key point here, right? Who owns that AI? Is it yours, TMC, or are you buying it from a third party and reselling it? You want to know that. You want to know that for a multitude of reasons. Probably the biggest is the time to market on when it breaks, if it needs to be adjusted. You want control over that. What happens if it fails? What's the handoff look like? Is the handoff transparent that it preserves your customer experience? And what measurable outcomes does it deliver? What is a true ROI?
All right, let's dive into some RFP questions, Vic.
You know, I went through and I said, hey, let's pick some of my most favorite ones. This is probably the top that I would recommend. What of your AI capabilities are in production and for what accounts? And how many transactions are running through your AI? A strong answer would have concrete percentages attached to it and would sound something like this. We are currently processing 100% of our emails using AI triage. They are reading it and then they are categorizing it in 40 different categories at a 99% accuracy rate. That's what you want to kind of get at. The wrong answer would be, we're rolling that out. That's on the roadmap. That's coming in the future. Be careful. Be very careful. The second one that I really love is, which parts of the process of AI does it decide? You've got decision, or it's just taking action. And a strong answer would be, if I still use that email example, a strong answer would be, the architecture is built that it ingests all of our emails and reads them at an accuracy rate, simply reading them. The next question I love is, what parts of the process does the AI decide or merely route? So if I use the right answer would be one that names the architecture and really lays out where the AI is simply doing a task versus decisions. For example, a good answer on that would be our email solution. Our email solution uses AI to simply read the email. Then, based upon its learnings of reading that email, it makes a decision to go into category A, B, C, or D. That's the type of detail that shows that the TMC has proper architecture and has thought through the proper workflow process, versus a comment that says our AI does everything and it walks through a process. The vagueness should be a red flag. You don't want to tackle that. The next question around human oversight that I love is, where is the human in the loop for each of the AI-driven process, and at what point do they intervene? A good answer needs to define the clear intervention and the how it intervenes and passes off, versus A red flag would be the AI handles everything end to end. That's it. But what a good answer would sound like is this. When we receive an email for a booking transaction, and that booking transaction, the bot is having a problem with it. We've made a decision to not ask for information from a customer twice. So at that point, it is then passed to a live agent automatically with a summary of the email so that the live agent can take it right away. It shows that we've actually built it. It shows that we've got it in production. It shows that we've gone through that workflow process. Anything less than that, you've got to question and say, have you really done this? Show it to me. Another one that I really like on the impact of service is, what does the traveler experience differently with this AI? How does it help them? And a strong answer clearly articulates the benefits to the traveler. Sounds like this. With our email solution, prior to AI, we were responding first response 4 hours or 4 to 5 hours. Right now, we're responding with our email solution under 1 hour. In a period of storms and whatever, they wait less time doing an email and get a better response than waiting for agents to pick up the phone and calls, simply because of the demand. So really show where the customer experience is. A red flag is one that is much more vague, that that positions AI as purely a headcount play and a headcount reduction play. So they really focus more on the cost side than they do on the experience side. So really drive to say, what is AI doing from the customer experience side, and ask how it's improved it. Patrick, that's just a handful of ones, and we've got so many more learnings from this, but it's been a fantastic journey. I can't stress enough to have the buyer take the questions and use 2 words in everything that you ask. Show me. Just show me.
Yeah.
Talk to me. Show me.
A couple. You remind me of a couple things I've seen in the industry. First of all, when mid offices were rolled out in the 90s, Vic, and I know you've got a tremendous amount of experience from your TRX days, et cetera, in the mid office. There were TMCs that bought the technology, signed the agreement, technically implemented, but then never turned the tool on accounts. They had the tool. Correct. Right?
That's absolutely correct.
Yeah, so that's so you can see where we're coming from on this, right? A little bit of information on how we see a healthy relationship with an RFP. The RFP is really your first interaction with the agency, and if you're in the RFP process right now, and you're watching this video and you're thinking, man, these are some good ideas. I need to put these into my RFP, but I've already submitted my RFP to my TMCs. Like, any TMC that won't allow you to add questions to your process to make sure that you're creating the right relationship with them, I think that's if you fail that, if you can't add questions, that tells you a lot about how inflexible the service is going to be. Any thoughts on that, Vic?
Oh, Patrick, yeah, I couldn't say any more than that. Remember, the buyer, the objective here is for the buyer to get what they need to service their travelers. That's the objective. And as a supplier of that travel service, I want a long-term relationship. The only way to get a long-term relationship is have a win-win mentality that says, if there's information that's come to light since you sent it out, that's on your mind, I want to know about it, because I want to make sure I can satisfy your needs. And if I can't, then we're getting off on the wrong foot. It's not about winning the business. It's about partnering and coming together. So you are completely right.
The other thing that your questions made me think about is there's really 5 separate channels to make a reservation right now. There is the phone, email, right? Everybody knows those. The OBT, now we're in 2010 land, right? There is chat, and the last one that just recently entered the marketplace, I'd really say in February of this year, is the MCP, the Model Context Protocol channel, so that you can build your own AI agent for travel and never have to rely on an OBT anymore. That's what I think is going to be the future here. The OBT is going to really be pushed to the side, and you're going to see customers with the capability to customize an AI agent to help them coordinate their travel so that they're more efficient. They get a higher customer satisfaction, traveler satisfaction, lower costs, et cetera. Any remarks on that, Vic? Am I out there in La La Land on that, or
No.
how do you see that?
No, completely agree. Like at the end of the day, whether you use Teams or any other internal communication vehicle or LLMs out there with Claude, ChatGPT, I can see a day very quickly coming that you are voice to text. If you like to type, you're typing, but you're voice to text and you're saying, book me the trip from Miami to New York and bring back some. And that agent needs to go against their TMC that should be MCP and should be connected. That eliminates any form of interaction going back and forth. That's here. That capability is here today. It's just not fleshed out. But the MCP is going to allow agent-to-agent communication. And once it gets that, that's a happy path. Then you've got, you've always got 30% disruption in this world that we live in. But the technology is even getting better, that disruptions are being handled really well. What's really important is that we build the systems and platforms that if there is a hiccup or a problem that can't be handled, that is, and we do this on the Gant side over and over, opt out, where do I get a live agent? Where can I get a live agent? But you're absolutely right. I see the OBT from a UI perspective being very unimportant over the next 2 to 4 years.
So the best AI does not replace customer service. It amplifies it. So one question that I would ask in some way, shape, or form in my RFP, if I were a buyer, is I would ask for the customer satisfaction scoring mechanism in every phase of the travel coordination and interaction with the AI. And as long as you have that, now you can put in all kinds of creative ways to enforce a standard that you expect, that you both agreed on going into the relationship of service contract. I think that's one major, the ease at which you can do that. I wouldn't take no for an answer. We recently went from MPC to Net Promoter Score over to CSAT, and it's just it's taken over in our measuring process, and it's downright shocking at how much data we now have about how all the systems are performing. So I don't think that's a long putt. Do you?
No. Hey, Patrick, and to give an example on the metric side, we used to handle, we'd get every now and then the odd customer or the account manager that would show you and I an email that one of our employees wrote, and we'd look and we'd say, oh my God. And I'm not picking on the employee because my grammar in English is not the best either. I'm right up there. But spelling errors, it's just not professional. It's not to the brand. We haven't had one of those in a year and a half because the AI technology that we've got built around our emails sending out to the customer is 100% perfect on language, on grammar, 100%, and we can communicate in 200 different languages going back and forth. So we've got 0 incidents on brand tarnishing communication going. Yeah, people got to stick to the metrics and say, where is it that AI is truly, and how is it impacting that experience?
You mentioned account management. That's one area where I think every RFP, and where we're coming from in this is we took 3 RFPs and we ran them through a research tool, and we determined that they either didn't have any AI questions, or AI questions were so vague you weren't going to be able to get commitments from the service organization you were asking. So that's, as I roll into the conclusion of this, that's what we're trying to prevent. We're trying to help the marketplace identify what great players look like. We certainly consider ourselves in that camp. But the last note for your RFP is you have to create a question that identifies where the AI is operating on the internal stage of that company to help you get what you need. Your life should be easier because of this AI. So for example, there should be a question about how AI is used inside the account management team for you to get faster answers, more responsive team members, better data, faster data, better analytics, better recommendations. All of that should occur within the account management team. We focus so much on the call center solutions, but the agency of the future has more account managers than it does agents, travel agents, because the AI agents are going to be so good. So this is the future over here of what service you're going to be buying, is that account management. I encourage you to put that in your RFP as well. Vic, I think we should wrap up. I've got a call at the top of the hour as well. So any final thoughts for our audience?
No, I would say that the agency's mindset should be that my buyer wants 2 things: best level of service at the lowest cost. And every piece of technology should be targeting on giving that best level of service at the lowest cost. It's up to the buyer to really challenge the TMC to drill down.
I agree. Thanks, Vic. All right, everyone. Please like and follow us on YouTube. Please share this video with your fellow buyer peers, and we'll see you hopefully at the next event. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.